No one noticed the silence at first. When Ethan Blackwood was born, the private hospital room exploded with celebration. Billionaire Richard Blackwood, CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech empire, held his newborn son like a trophy the world was waiting to admire. Doctors smiled, nurses applauded, cameras flashed, but the baby didn't cry. At first, they thought it was shock or exhaustion. Newborns were unpredictable, they said, but minutes passed, then hours, still no sound. Ethan was born deaf. By the time he turned 5 years old, the mansion that echoed with business calls and luxury parties felt painfully quiet around him. Ethan never reacted to slammed doors, never turned when his name was shouted. Fireworks, music, laughter, none of it reached him. Doctors were flown in from New York, London, and Zurich. Each one delivered the same verdict: congenital, permanent, untreatable. Richard accepted it with money and silence. His wife, Margaret, accepted it with pills and tears. The boy was given the best tutors, the best devices, the best therapists, but none of it brought sound into his world. And slowly, something changed. By age 7, Ethan stopped trying to speak. He stopped looking people in the eyes. During extravagant dinners, he sat quietly at the end of the table, tapping his fingers on polished marble, completely invisible in a room full of power. The staff whispered. Some said the heir was broken. Others said God had cursed the family. Only one person didn't believe any of it. Her name was Lena the maid. She had no medical degree, no wealth, no voice in that house. But she noticed something no one else did. When Ethan was 8, Lena realized the boy reacted not to sound but to vibration. When she cleaned near him, the clink of keys against her belt made him flinch, not from noise, but from movement. One night, while everyone else slept, Lena stood behind Ethan and dropped a metal spoon on the marble floor. The sound echoed through the mansion. Ethan didn't hear it, but he turned, slowly, directly toward her, and in that moment, Lena realized something terrifying. The boy wasn't deaf. Someone had made him silent. The next morning, the doctors arrived again. Not regular doctors, elite ones. Men and women in tailored suits, carrying tablets instead of stethoscopes. The kind of specialists money could summon overnight. Billionaire Richard Blackwood stood at the head of the room, arms crossed, jaw tight. "This ends today," he said. "I want answers." Ethan was 8 years old, sitting on the examination bed, legs dangling, eyes fixed on the floor. He didn't know why so many strangers were staring at him. He only knew this routine: lights, machines, silence. The tests began. Brain scans, nerve response tests, vibration panels, sound bursts at different frequencies. The machines showed something strange to ignore. Ethan's auditory nerves were intact, perfectly intact. One doctor cleared his throat. Another avoided eye contact. Finally, the oldest specialist spoke. "Mr. Blackwood, biologically, your son should be able to hear." The room froze. Margaret's hands started shaking. "What do you mean should?" The doctor hesitated. "There's no physical damage, no congenital defect, no neurological failure." Richard's voice dropped. "Then why can't he hear?" Silence. Then the word no billionaire ever wants to hear. "We don't know." By nightfall, the doctors changed their story. They said Ethan suffered from a rare psychological condition, that his mind had chosen silence, that trauma, possibly even before birth, had shut down his ability to hear. "It's permanent," they said again. "Untreatable," they repeated. Richard signed the papers. He always did. But Lena, the maid, stood quietly near the door, holding a tray of untouched tea. She watched the doctors more than she watched a child. Their hands shook. Their answers contradicted each other. Their eyes avoided Ethan completely. That night, Lena returned to the mansion's storage room, the one no one ever cleaned. Inside, she found old medical files, early test results, notes from Ethan's first year of life. One sentence made her blood run cold. "Child responds normally to sound stimuli at 6 months." Lena's heart pounded. Someone had changed the story. Someone had decided that the billionaire's son would live in silence, and whoever it was still inside that house. Lena stopped sleeping after that night. Every sound in the mansion felt louder now: the hum of security cameras, the echo of footsteps in endless hallways, the soft click of locked doors. Ethan was 8 years old, but the house treated him like fragile glass. And Lena was starting to see why. She began watching him closely, not like a servant, like a witness. Ethan reacted to things he wasn't supposed to. When heavy doors slammed, his shoulders tensed. When thunder rolled outside, his fingers pressed into his ears not because he heard the sound, but because his body expected it. One afternoon, while cleaning the study, Lena noticed something strange. Ethan was drawing, not shapes, not people, waves, jagged lines crashing into each other, again and again. When Lena gently tapped the desk behind him, Ethan flinched so hard the pencil snapped in half. 8-year-old boys didn't react like that without a reason. That night, Lena checked the security logs, something maids were never supposed to do. But she had memorized the guard's passcode after years of watching him punch it in. The logs showed a pattern. Every night at exactly 11:45 p.m., Ethan's room cameras went offline for 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Every night. For years. Lena's chest tightened. She followed the pattern. At 11:44 p.m., she hid in the hallway near Ethan's room, her heart pounding so loud she was sure someone would hear it. The hallway lights dimmed. 11:45. The camera light above Ethan's door turned red. Offline. Footsteps approached. Not heavy, controlled. Someone with access. The door opened. Lena didn't see who went inside, but she heard something else. A soft mechanical hum, like a device powering on. Ethan didn't scream. He never did. 6 minutes later, the door opened again. The footsteps disappeared. The camera light turned green. Online. The next morning, Ethan refused breakfast. His hands shook. There was a faint red mark behind his ear hidden beneath his hair. Lena realized the truth with terrifying clarity. Ethan's silence wasn't an illness. It was maintenance. And whoever was doing this wasn't trying to hurt him. They were making sure he stayed silent. Ethan was 8 years old, but he carried the weight of secrets heavier than most adults ever would. Lena had been watching him for weeks now, tracing the patterns, memorizing every flinch, every subtle reaction. That night, she decided it was time to act. The mansion was silent, except for the soft hum of the central air system. Lena slipped into Ethan's room, moving like a shadow. The boy sat on the edge of his bed, eyes wide, pencils scattered across the floor. "Ethan," Lena whispered. He didn't look up. He never did. "Can you trust me?" she asked. He nodded ever so slightly. A flicker of hope sparked in her chest. Lena crouched next to him and gently touched the back of his neck, the spot where she had seen the faint red mark. Her fingers traced it carefully. She whispered, "The doctors lied. No one is making you silent. Someone is controlling you. But it's not your fault." For the first time in years, Ethan's lips moved. Not to speak but to draw. A small line, then a curve, then a jagged spike. Lena watched, realizing the boy was communicating in a code only he had developed to survive. She followed the lines with her finger. They spelled out words of sound, instructions, patterns, signals. Suddenly, a faint beep came from the corner of the room. Lena's eyes snapped to the source, a small, hidden device blinking red. A miniature speaker. A vibration mechanism. Something that had been controlling his deafness all along. Her heart raced. With trembling hands, Lena grabbed the device and smashed it against the floor. The hum stopped. Ethan blinked. His eyes widened. He raised his hand slowly, then placed it over his ear. For the first time, he heard it. The distant rumble of thunder. The ticking of the clock. Lena's whispered voice. A sound so small it could have been missed, but to Ethan, it was everything. And in that moment, Lena realized something terrifying. They weren't just silencing him. They were training him. And the real power controlling the billionaire's heir hadn't been exposed yet. Ethan was 8 years old, but tonight, the mansion felt larger than ever, empty hallways stretching like prisons, echoing secrets no one dared speak aloud. After Lena smashed the device that had controlled him, Ethan looked at her with eyes full of wonder and fear. "Who did this?" he whispered. Lena hesitated. She didn't know the full story, but she had her suspicions. Something inside the mansion had been orchestrating his silence from the very beginning. She led him down the grand marble staircase, away from the bedrooms, to a small office Richard rarely used. Dusty files and old security logs lay stacked like forgotten secrets. Lena rifled through them quickly. Her heart skipped when she found what she was looking for. A series of handwritten notes from the boy's early infancy, signed with the initials M. Margaret Blackwood. The realization hit Lena like a thunderclap. The boy's own mother, the woman adored by high society, praised for elegance and charity, had been behind it all. Every device, every treatment, every stage doctor's visit, all orchestrated to keep Ethan silent. But why? Lena found the answer in another file, an old inheritance plan. If Ethan remained disabled, the family fortune would eventually be transferred to Margaret's secret offshore accounts. Keeping her own child silent guaranteed control over billions. Ethan's small hand gripped Lena's sleeve. "Mom, did this?" The truth was unbearable. Lena pulled him close. "I don't know everything yet, but you'll see the truth soon, and we'll fix this together." Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Lena froze. Margaret stepped out of the shadows, flawless as ever, a chilling smile on her face. "Ah, Lena, I see you've found my little secret." Ethan shrank back. Margaret's eyes glinted with cold calculation. "Did you really think a child of mine would be allowed to run free? The world is cruel, Ethan, and I taught you to survive it quietly. Until now." The mansion suddenly felt smaller, suffocating. Lena knew one thing: exposing Margaret wouldn't be easy. The power she wielded, wealth, influence, fear, was absolute. But Ethan had finally heard the world, and once he spoke, nothing would ever be the same. The first step toward freedom had begun, but the battle had only just started. Ethan was 8 years old, but tonight, he felt more alive than he ever had. The mansion, once suffocating with wealth and secrets, now vibrated with truth. Lena had uncovered Margaret's betrayal. The devices were destroyed. The files were exposed. Margaret Blackwood stood at the top of the grand staircase, her perfectly controlled smile faltering for the first time. "You think you've won?" she hissed. "This fortune, this family, I created it." Ethan took a small step forward, his hands shaking, but his voice came out clear, loud, and strong. "I can hear." The words hung in the air like lightning. For years, he had been silent, trapped in a world no one understood. But now, he was free. Margaret's eyes widened. She realized too late that control was gone. Her manipulations, her greed, her years of silencing him, they could no longer contain the boy. Lena knelt beside Ethan, tears streaming down her face. "You're safe now," she whispered. "No one can take your voice away again." Ethan smiled, a small, tentative grin at first, then a full beam of joy. He ran through the halls, laughing for the first time, echoing off the marble walls. Every room, every hallway, every shadow seemed to celebrate him. The authorities arrived soon after. Margaret was confronted with her crimes: financial deceit, manipulation, and child endangerment. The mansion, once a gilded cage, was no longer her stage. Ethan stood tall, holding Lena's hand. He spoke to the investigators, to the staff, to the world, his voice no longer trapped. And in that moment, the mansion became a place of laughter instead of fear, of love instead of control. But the most important thing, Ethan had found his voice not just to speak, but to demand freedom, to assert who he was, and to rewrite the story that had been forced upon him. That night, he lay in bed, the moonlight spilling across the room. He could hear it all: the ticking clock, the whisper of the wind, the soft hum of life itself. And for the first time, the world sounded like home. Silence had broken, and nothing would ever take it away again.